3 herniated discs in my neck, 2 in my back, and both meniscus and an ACL gone. And at the time, fighting Muay Thai professionally, you weren't making any money in the United States. You'd go overseas, you'd make some money, but you wouldn't exactly build yourself a fan base here. I retired about 2010-ish, and I fought for about 6 years. So in those 6 years, from like 04 to 2010, if somebody asked you what you did for a living and you told them you fought Muay Thai, they didn't even know what Muay Thai was. So dedication and perseverance. When you want something and you stick to it and you do something long enough, there's almost a direct correlation between doing something you're passionate about for a long enough period of time, you are going to get results out of that. I had a great childhood. I come from a full-blooded Italian family on both sides. They were very traditional with how we ate and the concept and stuff. It was a great childhood. Big Italian holidays. I started in martial arts when I was early, Taekwondo and things like that, like a lot of kids, and then didn't really switch into like functional fighting sports until I was a little older. I had gotten done with college and baseball, and that kind of fizzled out, and came back to Las Vegas and had an opportunity to help open a gym that was being opened at the time, and it was essentially the first mixed martial arts gym in Las Vegas. I think Vegas tends to be a hotbed for the fight industry, probably going back to the days of boxing. This is entertainment capital. Fighting is entertainment, at the end of the day, and this provided, an area or demographic that allowed the promoters the ability to hold these events. I think with the events being localized here in Las Vegas, and then, boxing turning into MMA and UFC having their home base here, I think it was only natural that the gyms that popped up here tended to attract some of the best coaches and the best fighters in the world. I didn't know I was ready for my first fight. My coaches all told me I was ready, and my first fight, it was one of those things like my opponent got switched at weigh-ins. Ended up fighting somebody who was about 10 pounds heavier. My coach was confident in my ability, and that's really all that worried, or that's really all that concerned me at the time, was what my coach thought. You'd walk in and it would be a bar and couldn't even see a ring or anything in the whole place, and then halfway through the night, the bar festivities and music would stop, and you'd hold fights in this venue that would be filled with smoke, things like that in the early days. The fact that back in the day there was no such thing as amateur MMA, so if you wanted to fight MMA, you went pro. Sparring back in the day, especially in the Muay Thai circles and boxing and things like that, and it trickled into MMA at first, until I think people were smart enough to realize what it did to them physically. But every sparring session was a fight. You just may have had 16-ounce gloves and headgear on, but you had a coach in your corner and you were both trying to finish each other. Every sparring day, which tended to be the majority of the days of the week back then, you would see sparring sessions that could have easily been pay-per-view fights.
Guys that they're like straight up boogeymen, like in the gym, but then you look at the record and they're like 2-8 or something like that. Like guys would just smoke guys in the gym. Like is that have you seen guys?
That's
like
not a myth. Yeah, that's 100% reality for some people, unfortunately. It's a saying, right? Pressure busts pipes, pressure makes diamonds. Some guys in the gym perform phenomenally well, and then under the stress and the pressure of a fight, just can't put it together. In training, that's what we do. You train over and over and over to minimize that gap between your training performance and your fight performance, and the closer we can get those two bars together, the better, right? Because at the end of the day, under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion. you sink to the level of your training. You know, I think the things that stick out to me the most about the early days of coaching and cornering was getting to work with Robert Follis. And I was so blessed and still grateful for the opportunities to coach by his side, to learn from him for so many years. And really, like, more so than stories that stand out to me, is just more the ability to be around great coaches and fighters and learn so much.
I say the name Joseph Benavidez, what comes to mind?
Inspiration, mentor, you know, role model, but also somebody who's, you know, fun and very generous and great husband, and just the definition of what you want to see in and out of the gym. Somebody who is motivated, somebody who is disciplined. They get it done. They're always there to help other people despite you know, their stature in their sport. So I wish we had a lot of guys like Joe in here. Somebody like Joe and the type of person he is, where he's come from to where he is now in life, the decisions he makes in and out of his professional life, and you go, yeah, I mean, nobody deserves it more. And the fact that you don't get it just shows you that, you know, there's no order to life as we would think or expect. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for you, not to you. And you just have to be able to find those silver linings, you know, to be able to continue to push on. Ian Rosa is another name of somebody who you wish you had 10 of them on the mat. You know, definition of hard work and perseverance, sticking something through. And, you know, to see him win in his last fight like that, I haven't wanted many things as much as I wanted him to win. So I was super happy for him there. To make it to the top level of this sport or any sport, you have to live it, breathe it, eat it, sleep and dream about it. If you don't, and you don't love it and you're not passionate about it, you know, it's easier to just find something else to do. The amount of sacrifice and dedication that goes in day and day with these guys, where you train, you beat your body up, you don't get to go out, you don't get to have fun, you're watching everybody do things for the hopes that you may get a fight, and then still to do everything right all camp, and then you go out there and you fight and you don't perform or you don't get the win, you know, and still get back into the gym. And there's very few things I could think of in life, you know, that requires the humility and the perseverance and sacrifice that these people do in this sport. You know, I love what I do. I get to, you know, bring my son to practice. I get to, you know, bring him in the gym. So there's nothing where I really feel like I'm sacrificing on. At the same sense, they hold me accountable to where I can't go out and stay up late. You know, there is no having a drink on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, because there's getting in there early and being energetic and ready to work and physically able for my guys. So maybe if I had one area that I would say I do sacrifice is I don't get to do training for me as much as I would like. And probably a good thing, case in point, last time I tried to spar, I broke my rib. So that was about 8 weeks ago. So